Never Alone is a love story.
Everything's been so messed up here lately. Pretty sure he don't wanna be my baby. Oh, he don't love me, he don't love me, he don't love me, he don't love me, but God.
Bebe Rexha, welcome to Never Alone Artists. It is indeed a pleasure to have you with us today. I've been reading about you, I've been studying you, watching you and listening to you, and you are kind of the force for the younger generation. What I love about you is that you speak your mind, you speak your truth.
Always.
And I think what I've found most is kind of you also live the contradictions in your lyrics. You speak about love and how you come in the way, you talk about life and how you come in the way. But above it all, you also have the amazing resilience to transcend all of this. And I love what you do and talk about the LGBTQ community and the sense of optimism as an advocate of mental health. So why don't you share with us today, Never Alone Artists, your background, how you became from this little queen bee, baby, to who you are today, a force of nature.
Well, I want to just say thank you guys so much for having me here. And Triller, I'm so excited to be here. And this is epic to be sitting with you guys. I never thought I would be doing this. I remember seeing you first on Oprah, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm excited to be
If
here.
she married me, she would be Oprah Chopra.
As you can tell, I'm actually a little excited and nervous. But yeah, I was just a girl from New York City. My parents came from Albania. They're immigrants. And I just loved music. For me, music was my sense of therapy. It was the way that I could, but my parents were immigrants, so they didn't really know therapy or how to meditate, or it was kind of, if I felt a certain way, my dad would be like, go take a walk, you'll figure it out, go get in the fresh air.
Wise man, connecting with nature.
True, yeah. So I just started out as, writing songs. I started as a songwriter. I just loved lyrics and I loved melodies and making music. And I just started out in New York City, just writing songs, and it snowballed, and I ended up writing for some big artists, and I was very blessed with that, and I was, very grateful for that, and it helped me get to this point of being able to write for a lot of amazing artists and work on my own music, and also to not only just, be successful, but to speak on behalf of numbers, meaning my age. I'm not embarrassed of my age, my weight. I'll post about that all the time, and mental health. And I think we live in such a world where we're told that things have to constantly be perfect. And I think for me growing up, I always saw the models in the magazines and on TV, and there was always perfection in pop music, which I loved growing up. And that's just not really sustainable or real. So I want to be the anti that, whatever that is.
Love it. In fact, I'm going to kind of do a couple of things differently today. We have Dr. Deepak Chopra with us today. So instead of asking you a lot of questions, I think I'm going to quote a very famous Indian philosopher as a mentor of, I would say, a biggest thought leader. He says comparison and conformity lead to conflict.
So
a
true.
mind without conflict is a spiritual mind. So you've always kind of not tried to compare, not try to conform. So essentially, then you probably don't have any conflict. What I want to do today is to maybe switch it around and have you, instead of me asking you questions on mental health and what do you think of this and what do you think of that, we have Dr. Chopra here, so why don't you ask, what are the burning questions in your mind?
Oh, I got a lot of,
you got the source, you got the answers.
Questions. I had a lot of questions, and what can I start with? I'm gonna be honest. I've bought the 30-day meditations that you had, and I'm like, this time I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna help with my anxiety, and it does help. But for some reason, I find it very, and I think this also goes to like all the aspects of my life as well. I find it very hard to stick to meditating. Like I always start it and I feel amazing. I'll do it for like a week straight. I'll do it morning and night. And a week later, I'll wake up and be like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just doing that to make everybody happy. I want to do this. This is what I believe in. And it's like, I'm so clear, but then I never stick to it.
First of all, you shouldn't ever do anything that is forced, ever. What you resist persists. One of the best definitions of stress is resistance to existence. So what is resistance to existence? To this. This is existence right now, right? Everything that's happening in the world, but also this moment and what I'm thinking about it. So try and remember that phrase. No resistance to existence. Don't do anything because you think it's a moral duty. Anything that's a moral duty is cunning hypocrisy. Okay? You're doing it for others.
True.
Right? So don't do anything for others, do what you want to. But if you're enjoying the meditation, it takes about 21 days to start a habit, only to start a habit. If you do something for about 21 times 3, a little over 60 days, it becomes a habit. So try that out.
Okay.
And see what happens.
I'm gonna, now because I'm literally sitting next to you, I'm going to do the 21 days. And I will tweet or Triller you or...
Tweet me and then show me how to Triller and I'll do that too.
Perfect. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated.
I'm obsessed, I'm embarrassed, I don't trust no one around us. I'm a mess for your love, it ain't new.
Tell me again about living for other people, what you were saying is what you just said.
Living for other people is sacrificing your soul for your selfie. Yourself for your selfie.
Your selfie, that's so true. But I feel like we all do that and it gets so hard. Even in music or in entertainment, I find myself sometimes doing things that I don't want to do.
You know, I've worked with some of the best artists before your time. Michael Jackson, Madonna, some of the best, George Harrison. And one thing I recognized about all artists is they don't identify with their last hit because that creates performance anxiety. And once you start identifying with your last big hit, you're set up for insecurity. Part of it is good. It's called the wisdom of insecurity because, you know, if you didn't have a little bit of insecurity, you wouldn't perform. But if that overshadows everything else, you know, is this going to be as good as Thriller or Like a Virgin? Then you're setting up for disappointment yourself, and that creates stress.
I don't mean to be so uptight, but my heart's been hurt a couple times by a couple guys that didn't treat me right. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna lie.
I want to share with you something on anxiety. Because during the pandemic, I was really, in this country or globally, every 40 seconds we lose someone to suicide globally. Yeah. Right? Every 40 seconds, one of the biggest tragedies of our time. So I really was fascinated with anxiety, and I had my own moments of going through anxiety, right? Which you talked about, anxiety. So I called a good friend of mine who was a Harvard psychiatrist, Dr. Jhene Pillai, and he gave me a mnemonic. And the mnemonic is called CIRCA, C-I-R-C-A. And that really helped me cope with my anxiety and some of the things I was kind of dealing with. The first C is called, control check. You kind of look at, what do I have any control, right? What is it? Other I is ignore mental chatter. Like basically, let's kind of look at what is this whole thing about, do I really look at meditation? R is reality check. And really looking at those kinds of things. A is attention shift. So using some of these tools, you can actually kind of look at anxiety and manage it without really letting anxiety overtake you.
What would you recommend if somebody just feels like at like, let's say this, because I've been here before, just like completely over it. Today, somebody watching woke up and they can't take it. They've cried so many nights. They feel like they don't know where to go next. They're lost. They're upset. What do? They feel like they've lost hope.
Well, that's why we have this platform called Never Alone, right?
You're never alone.
You're never alone.
Well, yeah.
So that's the platform, neveralone.love. And actually we have a chatbot there called PV, named after Gabriella's sister who died from suicide. And PV is an emotional chatbot. She can engage with you in a few seconds. people are more comfortable talking to her than to a human being because they don't feel judged.
On the line.
And they also don't feel judged. She can detect very fast whether you're going to hurt yourself or not. But then, if there is a serious issue, at the back end, there are real persons that we can engage. And at this moment, we're looking at cryptocurrency, so we can pay for it, so it's free. It's totally free.
Wow.
Give her some of the statistics.
Yeah, I think so. What we did
Wow.
during the pandemic, we realized that it is going to be so hard to reach people because everybody's stuck in their house. How can you get a therapist? So we built an AI engine called PV, and it's basically a text chatting. Either you can text on your mobile phone or Facebook Messenger, whatever you're on. And then based on the conversation, we use what you call a sentiment analysis to understand your anxiety.
So if somebody feels alone right now, they can literally go and
Right now,
speak
chatting.
right at this very moment. If you feel
Check out www.neveralone.love and PV.
No, it's like seriously, like because somebody could be on here right now and go
Right.
and speak. Because a lot of times when you feel like here in the U.S., like that you call a line and you speak to
You're
somebody on the
waiting
line,
forever also.
and you're gonna wait. I know it sounds so messed up to laugh, but you'll be waiting forever.
By the time the world could come to an end.
Literally, the world, God forbid. But yeah, but that is just so amazing.
So what we are doing is that we realized when we started this test, right now we have 13 million messages exchanged on it, 6 million
stressful.
minutes, and 10,800 suicide interventions
Already.
on a text
And how
base.
long have we been?
About a year plus.
A year.
Right?
Wow, I would
So I
love
think
to help
it's
in like a
Please
further
help
way.
us
I would love
promote
to.
it, yeah.
Yes, I would love to. Absolutely.
That'll be great. Thank
Because
you.
I think this is like wow, amazing.
I think like right now everybody's on some technology tool, especially the younger generation. Everybody's online. So why we also did something very interesting. We realized a lot of people are playing games. So instead of telling people not to game, let's talk to them using gaming. So we started something called Never Alone Gaming, and with all women gamers.
I wish somebody would have told me all
And to
this.
get all the women gamers talking
Now
about
your
mental
audience
health.
knows too.
Yeah, this is amazing because I feel like I'm learning about it, but then, it's like different when you guys are explaining it in front of the camera because it's like, this is what people need to hear. It's like as if you were explaining it to them. So it's through a game as well.
Yeah, the website's called Never Alone Gaming. So we engage gamers all over the world, and we're using women ambassadors. So we have
We like
obviously
that. I
Deepak.
like that.
So we have Gabriela Wright, Michelle Rodriguez, Kat Graham, kind of really women
Okay,
gamers.
now me. I'm
Now
gonna be
you.
joining.
Women
I'm gonna
gaming.
come
There you
challenge
go.
Me. I'm gonna definitely be doing it. Are you kidding
Onboarding.
me? This is incredible. This is everything that I stand for, and I feel like there's even for me when I was growing up. That's why I went to music because I didn't know that what I was feeling was anxiety. I thought this was a normal thing. I thought being scared to go to school or like just for every little thing was normal. But then as you grow up, you find these things and all all the things that are wrong with you. But the fact that anybody could just get on their computer or on their phone, which we all have,
Right.
is amazing.
And this is one thing which we also
thank you
learned
guys.
from PV is that once we deployed this chatbot, we thought, okay, let's kind of learn from this. Now we are realizing that every community has different mental health needs. So we're deploying one for the African American community. We deployed one just for veterans, for the people in the military. It's called
PTSD,
HERO,
yeah.
Health and Emotional Resiliency Operator. We're also looking at deploying now for the LGBTQ community.
Which is very
For
important.
the 4
yeah.
times more higher prone to suicide and double that
And
more of the
homelessness
parents
as well.
don't agree. So I think this is the future to really look at how do you talk to everybody as a person, 3 o'clock in the morning or like whatever time somebody needs to be
So
there.
is this technology kind of, it's built, I mean, wow, like I don't even know how you would, that's just incredible. Like, and then plus you have all those different,
Verticals.
wow.
Yeah, to look at it. Yeah.
That's incredible because there might be a kid that's just came out to their parents and they're getting kicked out in the street
Right.
because there's a lot of homelessness, especially here is the LGBTQ plus community. So that is really incredible. They could just not call but text or whatever and not be alone. So thank you. That's this is really on some next level. I didn't know. I knew that I was sitting with you guys and speaking about mental health, but I had no idea at this level. So I'm even more excited to be here.
I want to ask you a question. For me, I was thinking
Yes.
about when you look at creativity, innovation, what is that makes BB tick? How do you get the most, when you look at your moments of deep creativity?
The honesty,
Yeah.
the honest answer.
No, don't know.
He's like, no. The honest answer is, oh no, it has nothing to do with nothing bad.
No, I said when we are in peak performance, there's no reason for it.
True. It just comes naturally. Damn, see, Deepak, like I come up with stuff like when I'm like feeling really like, okay, the songs that I've written that have had the most commercial success for other people or whatever for myself have always been when I'm in kind of a turmoil. So it's kind of, and this is an interesting question because, you know, I'm in a relationship now and this guy is wonderful. He's like an amazing human being, you know, makes me feel calm, doesn't judge me. We enjoy life, we hang out. It's a great, like, I love him. But I sometimes think in the back of my head, like, no, I can't, how can I have my career and then also be in love like this? I need to not be in love because I'm used to having success being in a really messed up headspace, like kind of, it's messed up. It's kind of like I'm not addicted to it, but I've written all my, but now you're talking about how I connected myself to my past songs, which you said before. So now I'm like, do I need to be in that messed up headspace? Because that's how I've written all my biggest songs, when I went into the studio and something went wrong and I got into a fight or I got into this and that. And he just took a deep breath. He's like, poor girl, I can't help this one. I can't help this one.
Try and understand the dynamics of what we call the tortured soul. And there's nothing wrong with being tortured because our deepest self is a place of contradiction, is a place of paradox, is a place of ambiguity, is a place of confusion, is a place of chaos. Without that, there would be no creativity.
So basically you're fucked. No, just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding.
Nietzsche, the great German philosopher, said, you must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. But having said that, there's a dynamics that goes with all the things you're experiencing. What is anger? Anger is the memory of trauma. Now, everyone's had trauma. There's no one who hasn't had trauma. It could be something mild.
Yeah.
Like you were 3 years old and your mother said, you don't look good enough.
Oh.
Or
you got lost in the mall or something.
yeah, something like that. So it's either some criticism or some what you interpreted as condemnation, or basically somebody said you're not good enough. That memory triggers anger in the future. So what is anger? It's the memory of that experience. Anxiety is the anticipation of the same thing again. In some people, that leads to guilt. It's all my fault, which leads to humiliation, which leads to shame, and ultimately the combination of all of the above leads to depression. But if you accept that this is normal and you embrace it, then that leads to creativity. And so every experience of trauma is in fact an opportunity for creativity, and that's your experience already.